Hello, Power Tribe. I'm Murray Dewick,
And I'm Tricia Warren.
and you're listening to Samuel's Mantle Podcast. If you're spiritually sensitive, have dreams or visions, we're here to help you discover you're not crazy. You're probably actually hearing from God.
And when you're hanging out with us, we will help you connect with Jesus, feel his heart, hear his voice, and make sense of the ways you've been hearing from him.
Through practical tools, heartfelt teaching, you will discover that connecting to God is actually your superpower. He has gifted you with the power of the Holy Spirit to connect.
So let's jump in and grow in experiencing him like never before. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our next episode. And today's episode is called When Sensitivity Becomes Strength.
Knowing your design unlocks discernment and compassion, which can unlock my bubbly can right now. So we're going to, there we go, which is a good symbol of just effervescing and letting life flow of the Holy Spirit, that river within. So today we're talking about spiritual sensitivity a little bit more, mainly because both Tricia and I are those people. And there are other spiritual or personality types too that are equally as spiritual, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But because this is kind of, I kind of wrote the book on this, let's just say, Keepers of the Present, Spiritual Sensitivity, and the Roadmap to something.
And you know what? Get it on Amazon. Just look it up, Murray Dewick, and look. It's the first book it's the second book you wrote. Yes,
Yeah.
Very good book.
Oh, thank you. And we're going to go through it, I think, a little bit more in depth. So we'll see. So what we want to talk about today, one thing about spiritually sensitive people, which is that we pick up stuff, we're aware of stuff, and other personality types often don't pick it up. And because, a lot of other personality types are more confident than we are, more together, apparently, we often think they are right and we are wrong, and we become really, really hard on ourselves. We can develop fears, really loud inner critic. And, so we just want to start by let's just look at some of these other ways people think, even how that affects their physical development, just to go we're not all the same. We don't have to be like, Bob the Builder down the road or the knight in shining armor guy or we don't need to be like that. It's okay to be us. And you know what? For some of you that are not this personality type, if you're a prophetic person, you're listening to this, you probably are, or you would have deleted it a long time ago. You might be married to somebody like this or have a kid or somebody in your church. So, it's good for you to be aware. Oh, they're going to be thinking, they're going to be feeling this, and this is what they're going to be thinking. And it's good to understand one another. But for me, it was really a shock to think other personality types do not think the way I think.
Oh my goodness, me too. I assumed everybody thought the way I thought. And usually that's a pretty big assumption when you're young, like teenager, in your 20s. You just assume everybody thinks the exact same way you do.
Yeah, and how it affects. Well, I mean, we'll talk about this, but yeah, I didn't figure that out until this seminar you and I went to back in 2005.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah. Was it that long ago? Wow.
Yeah, 2000. I think I'm pretty close. I'm within a couple of years. So yeah,
that one was life-changing for me, that seminar.
So we're going to just lay this out. So Trish, you want to kind of lay it out what the fellow leading the seminar, how he laid it out, and we'll just talk about that.
Well, he did this beautiful personality type program, but it was unlike any personality type program I had ever done because it involved him figuring stuff out before you even opened your mouth. That was the freaky thing. So he basically took the room and divided it into 5 groups based on how we held our shoulders, what our eyes were doing, were they beady or were they wide or whatever, and our body type and where we might carry our weight. Just with those 3 things, he divided us all up into different groups. And he nailed most of it. He wasn't right 100%.
Probably 80%, I bet.
80% right on all the personality types. It was kind of mind-blowing. And he just took a whole different approach.
And the reason that is, everyone, why this is a big deal, because again, you would think that, we all are all Canadians or Americans. We all live in Western culture. We've all been educated in school the same way. We all So therefore, we're all pretty much the same. No, this is not
No.
true. And this was pretty shocking. So I can't remember Tricia ended up. I remember everybody, we're kind of multiple. I'm like a
Yeah, you're more than
teacher,
one. Yeah,
but we have a dominant,
you have a
right?
dominant one. So he basically divided us up into our dominant one.
Yeah,
But he
exactly.
did get mine wrong. But
Yeah, there you go. You're probably about the only one, I
yeah, there
think.
wasn't very many
Catherine,
people he got wrong.
out of
Yes.
70 people.
Yes.
So I ended up, I'll tell you what happened here. And then Trish can break this down a little bit. So I ended up at the spiritually sensitive table at a couple other people. And, we put these round tables. There's about, 5, 6, 7, 8 people per table. Mine had the fewest amount of people. Where did you ended up at my table too, you right? Me, you.
At the end.
At the end.
But
Okay,
he
okay.
put me on a totally different table. And I'm like,
Originally.
what am I doing here? I don't really relate to these people that are around me.
Oh, so yeah. So listen to this. This is pretty funny. There's, I'll just break it down how I remember it. It's not quite his terms, but I'll just throw it out like this, because it was the interesting thing what he did. Because just we want to make the point. We're all different, but then how we respond is very different. But the
Mhm.
expectation is we're all the same. So therefore, but we need to get past that and value who we are for who we are.
Yes.
That's intentionally done by God for a beautiful reason, right? So we need to get rid of that inner critic. If I could only be like so and so, well, they're not made like you, and you're not like them. So using somebody else as the measuring stick of what to measure up to, it's a false. That's measuring stick needs to be broken. And
Well,
so,
like how boring would life be if we were all the same? I mean, it
mhm.
just makes life interesting. There's so many different personality types.
Oh man. So here's what he did. Having said that, he said, so I'll just say it like this. So there, and Trish can clarify this a little bit, but so spiritually sensitive table. I can't remember the next table, but there was a pastoral table, like counselor type personalities, pastoral type personalities, visionary leader, warrior kind of dude, or we should say knight in shining armor, and then administrators and blah blah blah. Right. So,
And you forgot
uh,
the one that was kind of like the damsels in
yeah,
distress. Yes.
people out there are
And
gonna
the
like that
party, the
title.
people that love to party. They were really, that's a good description. They like to have fun. Yes.
Yeah, so they had their own. I think that's where actors came from. I that's how I
I don't
remember it,
know.
but you maybe not because you're an
Uh,
actor and
well,
you're
my
not like
husband
that.
Bruce was in number two, the
Isn't that
number two
funny?
table. Because he just loves to have fun. Fun is so important to him. And you know what? He does like to get rescued too. At
Ah,
times.
that's funny. So and so
And the
just
reason I said that is too that type personality likes to get rescued.
yeah. So here's what he did. He goes, now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over to the spiritually sensitive table where I was, and I'm going to lean forward and get right in their personal space, like put his nose 2 feet away from our nose. So he told us what he was going to do, and then he quickly lunged forward, and we all leap backwards, right? And he goes, now watch what happens if I go to the pastoral table and do this. And he does the same thing. They don't leap backwards. They all lean forward and hug him.
Yes.
So just think about how our belief systems affect our actions, right? So what you believe leads to an emotion, or in this case, you can have emotion because of what you believe, right? Which causes you to have an action, which causes you to make a decision. In our case, spiritually sensitive people, we leap backwards. It feels overwhelming. It's too close. I must protect myself, right? Because we spend a lifetime picking stuff up that's overwhelming. So
And
we
if you
make
get too close, you even feel it more, I find.
That's right.
Especially a
Yeah.
hug. I'm like, a hug could just, I'm like, then you feel everything,
Uh,
you know?
it's a difference between sitting at a park bench looking at a roller coaster compared to being on a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So some personality types with emotions, they can be observing it. If you're a spiritually sensitive person, you're on it,
Yeah.
right? And and we're like, what is going on? And he goes, and for his point, and this would be cool if you clarified this. He goes, now, if you think about what you just saw with what the spiritual sensitivity people did, they leap backwards. Let's say that's your core belief system, and you're doing that all the time. What physiology, what muscles are you developing by doing that motion? And what about these pastoral people? Look what they're doing.
They're
How
leaning
does,
forward.
yeah, what does that change with their body type? So he said a pastoral person often is rounded shouldered, a little and almost a little bit bent over because they carry burdens of people. Because they
Yeah.
and
Yes,
it's
it was so interesting. Whereas the ones that
yeah.
leapt back, they're a little bit like a little more reserved, maybe. Is that the right word for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I'm not a huge hugger. I had to learn how to be a hugger, but it never came natural to me, probably because of that. Whereas my husband, he just loves to hug everybody. He's kind of
Is
toned
that
it
funny?
down a little bit, but he just loves to hug people because he was also the pastoral too, because you're usually a combination, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
So he
right.
was the pastoral plus the person that loves to have fun. And so, yeah, so such an interesting thing. But as a spiritually sensitive person, we don't want that up close, you
It
know.
feels so. I mean, for
Yeah.
an average person, it's like, well, your body's there, and that's where you are. For a spiritually sensitive person, no, you're trying to get inside of my body. Get out. We feel
Well,
it
that's
so
just it
differently.
because they can, and
Oh,
you just feel everything, and you're like, yeah, I just don't want that, right?
here's a thought. Be interesting to see what people think of this. If any spiritually sensitive people out there do this and they don't know they're doing it, here, how about this?
Mm,
Well, so when I went into burnout in the 90s, as a spiritually sensitive person, I didn't know much about my wiring. I mean, I knew at that time, I was aware of things and discerned things. But when I went into burnout and I had to go back to, you're on staff, you got to go back to church sooner or later, right? I realized I would have to go to Tim Hortons and get a cup of coffee. I could
mm.
not walk into the building without a cup of coffee. And if I didn't, if I tried to walk towards the building without it, I'd start to have
Oh my
panic.
goodness, I was the same way. I always had to come to church with a Starbucks, so it quit distance.
That's right. And what I discovered was if you have something hot in your hand, people have their body distance to your cup, right?
Yes.
Instead of to you. So you could have in your hand this little invisible wall that wherever you turned, people are going to put their body distance to your cup and not
Oh
you.
my goodness, I am so guilty of doing that.
Yeah. And I didn't know I was doing that. I did it all the time. But until I had that feeling, I have to have this, I have to have this. Like, why is that? You have to stop and go, oh, I'm creating distance,
Hmm.
and spiritually sensitive people need that distance. And again, if you're having a good day, you just won the lottery, you might be out hugging everybody. If you're already picking up stress from your family, your spouse, what's going on in the church, you might like, I can't take anymore. Where's my hot cup that I need in my hand right now, right? So it's a little dependent on how much we're carrying, but we just carry a lot more. We're a lot more aware.
So what was cool about this event we went to is that we learned how to interact with each other,
Yes.
honoring the different personality types. And it was amazing because a lot of people didn't they just assumed if you don't want to hug them, you don't like them, but that wasn't
Yes.
it, right?
Yeah.
And so just going through this whole thing where you started to understand all the different personality types, then you would understand, oh, that's why they are the way they are. They aren't trying to get into my space. This is just who they are. Like a two, they just want to have fun, right? They just want to hug you, right? And
Let's go
and
to a party. Wouldn't that be great? And the
let's go
center
to a
feeler is
party.
like, oh, no, people's issues. I don't want to. Why don't you ever want
Exactly.
to go to do fun
And then
things?
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
then you think, oh, they're so boring. They never want to do anything. But it's not even that. And they do, and they will, because I do. I go, right?
Yeah.
It's a learned thing, but once you understand all of it, it certainly makes life more interesting because you're going, oh, I get it. I get it. I get why they are the way they are.
Yeah. One
And
of the things that really threw me, the guy who was teaching this seminar in the car on the way in or something, we were talking and I guess he already knew my personality, my body shape, right? So he looks at me. He really liked to do to this people. And he goes, I think conflict is a precursor to a hug. And I was like, what? I just set me off. I was like, a conflict is a precursor to more conflict, right? That's the worst thing. Because, as per sense or feelers, conflict is like you're going to feel everybody's stuff and might be the demonic. And then they're like, oh my goodness, conflict. And he's like, but he knew what it would do to me because he was like, okay, let's talk about that. But he set me up, right?
oh, that's so
But
funny.
But for a spiritually sensitive person, my response is pretty normal, right? Because we feel everything so deeply. But to somebody who's a pastoral person, mainly and they're gifted, they would be, oh yeah, of course that's true. Not true to me, right? So it's important to realize our physiology can be shaped by beliefs and upbringing, but also our responses and belief systems can be so different than other people. And that's okay. We just need to learn how to talk to each other and go, oh, that response is really typical of these people. And well, then you do the conflict resolution. I'm not doing it because.
Well, one day we'll have to have a whole podcast right on all the different personality types and explain it more in depth for sure. But back to being spiritually sensitive,
Mhm.
one of the things a spiritually sensitive person cares a lot about, and they care about a lot of things, is people's feelings.
Yeah.
They care so deeply about how a person is feeling, maybe because you can feel it as well. What are your thoughts on that, Murray?
Well, there's a couple ways. I mean, especially with close friends, right?
Hmm.
Like we tend to be people who have a few very, very close friends rather than life of the party people. What? Lots of like,
Right.
woo,
Yeah,
let's throw
yeah.
confetti in the air and like, so how's your friend doing? I don't know. We never really talked about anything. Like,
We
that's
just
your
had
friend.
fun. We just
Yeah, it's like
partied. Yes.
that makes no sense to a spiritually sensitive person. That's not a friendship. Like, anyway,
Yeah.
but
And then,
so oh, go ahead, go
oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then there's the spiritual atmosphere. That's something that we care a lot about when we walk in a room. What is the spiritual
Yeah.
atmosphere
So
like?
everyone, you have to realize when you're a spiritually sensitive person, you're not just aware of how people are feeling. You're aware of what's going on spiritually in a
Mhm.
place, And so, and there's layers to that. So if you've ever been, well, I'm just thinking, I, I'll give you two examples, but there's so much we could talk about that, right? So, like if there's lots of conflict in the church, I think Trish talked about this last week about Bruce setting up
Oh, yes. Yeah,
those
I did.
people.
Yes.
You're aware of how people are feeling in a room and how that, you're aware of that. Um, so two things with people's feelings. So I remember this happened a few times in my life where my father-in-law was an ambulance chief in a town called Golden back in the day. And he just moved there. And so we are going to go visit Rocky Mountains, up in the Rocky Mountains. And so, he's checking out local churches. And I remember I walked into this church with him. My kids were young, going to put him into the um, Sunday school department, and then just have them take care of them. And you know what? I could not be in that building. I couldn't even be in the building. And I said,
Wow.
I'll just go sit with the kids in the Sunday school. I could barely do that.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm like, what is wrong with me? I am so judgmental. I am so critical. But I couldn't shake it. I mean, it just felt like, I don't know how to describe it. Claustrophobic would be a good word. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can, we're here, but I'm not going to that church with you. And about 6 weeks later, that pastor got exposed having an affair or something, and I was like, yep.
Oh, and you were
And
picking it up.
I was picking it up. And I was probably, even now that I think about it, picking up on the feelings of the lady he was having the affair with. If I think about it. So
Right.
now the reason I wanted to share that is it doesn't mean that every time you feel something really, really bad, somebody's having an affair, right? Uh, the reason I wanted to share that it does happen often where we feel something and nobody else feels it. And we're like, I am so critical. What is wrong with you? Look at these other people. They're Christians. They don't judge people. You need to suck it up. You are so immature. And we try to beat ourselves up to be like that personality type, but we're not made to be like that personality type, right?
Mhm.
And often a lot of the things we pick up have truth in it. Now, as the problem is with humanity, we all have fairly broken childhoods, and we see life through our culture and upbringing and that kind of thing. We can get revelation, but not necessarily the right interpretation.
Mm.
So it goes revelation, interpretation, application, presentation, timing. And for now, we'll just do the first two, maybe three. So let me give you another example, the other side of that coin. So one, you have to believe you're picking up something and it's probably true, right? Well, what does that mean? What if I'm judgmental? What if I'm critical, right? You have to go, Spirit, I'm aware you're picking up something inside. I will listen to you. But then not rush to judgment.
Right.
And here's a reason why. So in class one day, and this the lady I'm going to mention, she was like our bridesmaid at our wedding, 10 years later or something. So wonderful person, but she's student in class, and there's a lot of stuff being stirred up in class right then. It was a difficult time. Not necessarily just that class, like everywhere. There's a lot of warfare going on. And she had asked for me to call her the next day. And man, I felt all this anger. Oh, I thought she was so angry at me. I mean, to the point I actually stayed up till 2 a.m. praying because it felt like I was about to get shot.
You thought
And
she wanted to talk to you because she was mad at you.
he was going to just tear a strip off me.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, I don't know what I did. What did I do wrong? I don't think I did anything. Like, have other people been talking to her? Because there was stuff going on right then. Has she been pulled into something? It was such an overwhelming fear of anger, And then I called her the next day. I mean, I prayed a lot. I felt it kind of break. And she picks up the phone and she just starts crying. And she's like, I'm so angry. I don't even know why I'm angry. I'm not an angry person. And then I realized I was discerning what the enemy was attacking her, like to attack me. The enemy was trying to set her up to pass on this church split stuff that was going on. But it wasn't her. I was discerning accurately, but it was what the enemy's plans were, not her personally. And see,
that's where you have to be careful then.
Yeah, revelation, interpretation, application.
Yeah, yes.
So I had the revelation right, but my interpretation was wrong. And therefore my application that she was going to attack me was wrong. Right? So,
I mean, how often do we do that as spiritually sensitive people? I've done that many times where I thought the same thing, that somebody was mad at me, but they weren't. Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you're not picking something up. So that's the tricky thing about being a spiritually sensitive person. You can be right with your discernment. Think of like you have a sonar device in you or a radar, right? It's pinging. It's really seeing something, but your interpretation of what that is might need some tweaking. So in other words, you have to love yourself. You got to go, you know what? I'm not crazy. I'm not emotionally immature. I'm not making stuff up. But then you have to hold that tension of not jumping to conclusions as to what that might be. And it's a art and a science,
So Murray, as a sensitive person matures, what can life actually be like for them as we figure out all this stuff?
Yeah, and you know what? As you mature, and you'll start to hear God more, you'll start to get some healing. You'll meet God as Father. You'll realize that you're safe, even in the midst of feeling bad stuff, so you don't have to react. You can just rest with Jesus. So it doesn't need to trigger you, but you can go, yes, something's happening. And things get a lot deeper with Jesus. Things get more vivid.
Yes.
Things get more intensely connected between you and God and even other people, because you can help them. I'm feeling this. Are you okay? Well, I haven't told anybody, but you can draw people out. It creates beauty. And, it starts to become a very beautiful gift. But it takes time.
And then you actually get to feel things that other people might miss, or might ignore, right? Yeah. I love that. And then also worship. Oh my goodness, you're just moved by worship all the time. And that's a beautiful thing. I love sitting in worship.
Yeah. I'll give you an example, like a good one.
Okay.
Of somebody I know fairly recently at this church, and things were rough behind the scenes, and some associate pastors had to go. And of course, the congregation doesn't know why. And the pastor, good guy, was trying to bottle in all his emotions and not because he was starting to burn out. And the spiritually sensitive people in the church are like, are you angry? Like what? Like a whole bunch of them over and over again. Like, I can't even go in the service anymore. I've got to sit in the prayer room and pray. And they told him, and he was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with my emotions properly. You guys are picking it up. I'm not in touch with it. I need to work on this. And he made some really awesome changes got the board involved. And those spiritually sensitive people, they felt heard and they felt connected, and they brought life into the church. because they were honest and they were picking up stuff nobody else was aware. The gift can be beautiful in community. It really can.
Oh, yes. And so instead of thinking you're too sensitive, the truth is this: you're not too sensitive, first of all. You're perceptive, you're discerning, you're responsive, and you're finely tuned in to what's going on around you. And not everybody can do that.
Yeah. And so, we just need to understand our wiring. You're not like everybody else. Sensitivity is not a liability, but when you understand it, it can become discernment, compassion, creativity, and spiritual awareness. And that's beautiful. It just takes time.
We just need to steward our sensitivity.
Yeah.
Really, we need to set boundaries, guard our heart, stay anchored in truth, and let God mature what he has designed.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're not broken. You're not dramatic. You're not weak. You're just wired differently with beautiful intention. And once you understand why you are the way you are, you'll stop apologizing for it. Right?
And one of the things that maybe for you guys listening who know somebody like this, could be your spouse, could be, maybe we should talk about a little bit next episode. How do you learn how to listen to someone with spiritual sensitivity, create safety for them, and draw them out so you can get the good part of who they are, right? And it can help you, just like the pastor I just mentioned. How do we include this ability in our lives as families, as communities, as churches, how do we do that? So we should talk about that too.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for listening to us chat again. Have a great week. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If you have rated and reviewed the show, that means so much to us. Your heartfelt feedback always reminds us why we do this. And hey, let's stay connected. Pop over to the website where we have some free gifts for you to learn just how prophetic you are. Find them at samuelsmantle.com.
And if you'd like to get access to the vault where we keep all the good stuff, you can become a partner on the website as well. Remember, encountering God is your superpower by the power of the Holy Spirit. Keep leaning in, and we'll catch you next week.